Yucky Quickie. So our air was perfectly clean and wonderful until capitalism came along and made cars and polluted everything. So say people who've never heard of the Great Horse Manure Crisis. Before cars, people were riding horses everywhere, and where you get horses, you get, well, horse poo. At first, that wasn't a problem. Manure had uses as a fertilizer. But as the Industrial Revolution progressed, fewer people were farming while there were more and more people riding horses, especially in larger cities such as London. It got to the point where more manure was being produced than demanded. A lot more, in fact, making it a disposal problem instead of an economic good. The air everywhere, but especially in big cities like London and New York, was filthy, unsanitary, and even disease-ridden. It was a public health nightmare that was even threatening plant life as well as animal. It seemed a problem that was impossible to solve. In order to remove the manure, you needed to use horses, which produced even more manure. The London Times said that in 50 years, every street in London will be buried under 9 feet of manure. An urban planning conference in 1898 broke up, having found no solution to the problem. But, as it turns out, capitalism did find a solution. Those self-same cars I mentioned at the beginning. The emissions from them were far cleaner than the horse manure and have only gotten cleaner since. And as we've covered in other quickies, that's despite government regulations such as the Clean Air Act, not because of them. The problem with centrally planned solutions is that they can only use the techniques and technologies that exist at the time. They can't innovate anything new. Cars weren't made specifically to solve the horse manure crisis, but they ended up being a wonderful solution all the same. The problem was solved because entrepreneurs like Gottlieb Daimler and Henry Ford were given the freedom to invent and put their ideas into practice. The price mechanism meant that the cost of disposing manure pushed up the price of horse-drawn cabs to the point where cars were actually cheaper, and people just switched over. How many times have we seen the same thing today, with things like oil possibly reaching its peak or global temperatures rising beyond control? All of this panic completely missing the fact that as any resource becomes more difficult to obtain or use, human ingenuity will find a solution. So long as you've set the market free so it can work, that is.